I used to be a scuba diving instructor. I had the best time of my life. I loved diving. I loved that my job was to make sure people were having fun. And my biggest dream was to someday open a hostel on some magical beach. And then I grew up and started to hear the voices. You know that little voice inside your head, the one you can hear when you're thinking? Well, my voice said, Neta, grow up, go to university, get a profession, do the rational thing. So naturally, I became a lawyer. For 7 years, I worked as a criminal prosecutor at the Ministry of Justice. And life was good. I still have, great family. My career was on track, and most important, my parents were proud. But every once in a while, I would hear another voice inside me asking, Neta, this career is great, but is it great for you? My mom, who is a filmmaker, was making a doco about the fishermen in Jisr, Zarka, perhaps the poorest Israeli Arab town. As luck would have it, I joined her for the day, and we went sailing with Musa, the fisherman. And suddenly I felt so alive and at home again. And the little voice came back. What happened to that happy-go-lucky girl you used to be? How did she go from living on a boat to living in an office? How did she go from making sure people were having fun to making sure they would go to jail? But the other voice said, it's irrational to quit a great career just to follow some voice. You have a family, 4 kids to support. So I kept on the safe path. Till one night, I had a dream. Actually, it was a nightmare. In the dream, my grandfather, Saba Sami, who was very special to me, asked me to write a story about myself. And I remember myself in the dream trying so hard, but not being able to write even one word, feeling so frustrated to show Grandpa only blank pages. The next morning, I wake up and I know if I'm not going to do something different now, I'm going to lose the opportunity to write the story of my life the way I want to tell it. And at that moment, I decided that listening to my guts is not being irrational. It is being me-rational. And being me-rational, thank you. And being me-rational is the only way to write my story. So I went back to Jisr, Zarka, this time determined to find a location for a hostel. And this took me into the heart of the village and its hard reality. Profound poverty. The average salary is only 40% of the average in the country. Neglect. Only 30% of the kids are graduating high school. Isolation. It was a place you never entered unless your GPS made a mistake. A sinking boat, which putting myself in wasn't rational, but it was very me-rational. Because you see, in Jisr, Zarka, not only you can find a beautiful beach, but also beautiful people who would take you on their boat to show you a hidden paradise. Not only this place worth visiting, these people are worth being visited. Then I went to consult with the one man who already did something like that. Maozi Non, who 10 years ago, with Suraida, started the Fauzi Azhar Inn, the first hostel in the old city of Nazareth, a different town. During our conversation, all the reasons why I shouldn't became the reasons why I should. The spark in his eyes to the sound of my idea gave me the final go. So I set out to look for a local partner, and for 6 months, I was knocking on people's door. Hey, I want to start a hostel here. Will you be my partner? Now, obviously, my friends who consider it a dangerous place thought I was crazy. But also the people in Jisr Zarka thought, is this Jewish girl is out of her mind? They have this look on their faces. What makes her think that someone would ever want to spend a night in our village? Until I met Ahmad and Haifa Juha. Growing up in Jisr Zarka, Ahmad felt he was living on an isolated island. Every morning at 5 a.m., he would see buses taking all the workers to work in their underpaid jobs all over the country, leaving behind them mainly the unemployed and the kids who would wait in the streets for their parents who would get back late from work. And all of that in spite of the great location and potential. But Ahmad had the beach and used to go there and dream to change the image and reality of his village. 8 years ago, with his friend Muhammad, he did start the first tourist initiative in Jisr Zarka, tours during the Ramadan holiday. 1 month a year, they had guests, glimpse of hope. But during the rest of the year, he was still struggling. So when I knocked on Ahmad's door, he did not have that look of who's this crazy lady, but the look of, finally, someone as crazy as me. And since that moment, the Juha family and I put ourselves in the same boat, determined to make it work, each one of us using their own tools. They had a building which needed a little makeover. So I introduced them to the crowdfunding platform, which they have never heard about before. We offered people, back us with 60 shekel, get a night in the dome. Back us with 200, get a tour and a dinner. Our goal was to raise 60,000 shekel. We ended up raising 92,000, 154% of our goal. They couldn't believe it. But since its opening 4 years ago, Juha's Guesthouse is a self-sustainable social business, creating a great impact. By simply using existing tools and platforms that local people have never heard about before, like booking engines or TripAdvisor, we draw thousands of guests a year, reviving the local economy. There's 2,000% increase in overnight guests, 650% increase in daily guests, and 1,000% increase in money spent by tourists in the local business per year. And that's on top of what they spend at the guest house. By simply using platforms that matches between us two volunteers, we draw volunteers from all over the world who volunteer in our programs by teaching English or by helping other local business to get access to the tools that helped us. For example, Musa, the fisherman, remember Musa from the boat? He now has his own Facebook page, an English menu, and a popular restaurant. And there are more like him. Genevieve, who started as a volunteer with a vision, is now the leader and the manager of the Young Leaders Project, empowering local youth, teaching them leadership, English, dialogue. Today, these youth are guiding tours in English. This is Mahmoud on the left. He did not speak English before he joined the Young Leaders Project. 6 months later, he was guiding a group 2 years later, he was one of the 30% who graduate high school in Jisr. Wait. Today, he's a med student in Europe. And he's sitting somewhere here with his friends from the Young Leaders. More success stories. We ended up rewriting not only the story of our lives, but also the story of Jisr Zarka. Now, okay. Now, our model is based on two things. One, using existing tools and platforms, which local people have never heard about before, created new opportunities and made putting Jisr Zarka on the tourism map possible and quite simple. But it wouldn't be sustainable. It wouldn't make that big impact without number two, us putting ourselves in the same boat together with Jisr Zarka, turning a community's challenge into our personal business, a sustainable social business. Lately, we had a special guest, Omari from Kenya, came to learn about our model. And his dream is to apply this model in his community in Kenya. So here's our next challenge, to jump on board the boat with entrepreneurs like Omari, wherever they are, help them rewrite their community story, one village at a time. But our case is just one kind of boat. There are 4 billion poor people in the world. Thousands of boats out there. Find your boat. Listen to your Merational. Ahmad and I did, and it took Jisr from being a lonely village to being an entire chapter in the Lonely Planet. Wait. It's really important for me to show respect to the people who work so hard and do such a great job in making things in Jisr Zarka better. My partners, Ahmad and Haifa, Juha and Genevieve. Thank you.